Warning: the following program contains jokes that may get you contacted by the RCMP. Do not attempt any of these stunts at home. If dark humor mixed with current events hurts your feelings, then go fuck yourself. Viewers' detention is advised.
All right. What did you do? You dirty dog.
We need to be clear-eyed about the seriousness of these incidents. Indeed, several of the individuals at Coots have strong ties to a far-right extreme organization with leaders who are in Ottawa. We're talking about a group that is organized, agile, knowledgeable, and driven by an extremist ideology where might makes right.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Plaid Army stream. Tonight, we're talking with Mr. Pat King. How are you? Oh, I think
I'm good. I wasn't expecting to jump in so quick. I was waiting to hear some of the music. How are you, Derek? I'm good, man.
I didn't want to keep you waiting, man. We're here, so why not,
brother.
right?
Yeah.
People can join as they join. So,
as you know, things are quite entertaining on my end of things.
I gotta say, it's so much fun to watch. Like, you never know what's coming next. Like, but so now you are free and clear, from what I understand, right? From all,
I am free and clear. I can discuss everything.
So there's no leash.
No leash, no muzzle anymore. No boot on my throat by the government. No boot on my throat by the crown. No boot on my throat from Trudeau. No anything.
So what exactly were the conditions before?
Okay, so I don't know what just happened on my phone here. So the conditions I had, I was released on some of the most extreme conditions that actually Canadians have ever seen. And I had no voice, basically no interviews, no internet, no social media, no freedom of protest, no freedom of assembly, debanked, can't travel, can't go anywhere, stuck under house arrest basically between the hours of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. with door knocks by law enforcement for 2 years. My bank accounts are still frozen to this day. 3 years later, we're frozen. And basically had no ability to pay my lawyers. And then the Crown admits that he agrees that he can't pay his lawyers. So we're going to make him go on social media. We're going to allow it, but for fundraising purposes. And then made me basically beg for money on the internet because they wouldn't release my bank accounts. They could have released my bank accounts. The funds were there. Could have paid for my lawyer fees. Didn't have to be on social media. Didn't have to have any, have to beg for money. And it put a big
amount of shit that they put on you. Like, they didn't do this to Carla Homolka when she got out. Like,
no,
there's people that are worse than you that don't have the same kind of restrictions.
The kicker was Tamara got those conditions first. And my thing was the only way I could get out was under the same conditions as she had. But you see, I didn't have a bunch of lawyers in my pocket at the time. So I had to take it. I took those conditions under the hopes that I would be able to get out and then they would be altered in the future. But that wasn't the case. Tamara was able, because of all the lawyers they had, they were able to alter their conditions, get their voices back, get their freedoms, be able to travel around the world, travel around the country. I didn't.
No, you
didn't. Shit. I wasn't allowed to do an interview with the media the day of my sentencing. I couldn't tell the media after I walked out of the courtroom and tell the media what I felt or how I felt. My lawyer had to represent me and speak on my behalf. A week later, then the Crown decides he's going to, all right, the trial's over. We'll give him his voice back now if we have to.
Dude, it's so arbitrary with the reasons they just come out. They can do whatever they want. They could say, oh, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. And just so long as the appearance of the Crown is still intact somehow, That's what matters.
That's exactly it. And one of the kickers to that, Derek, is they're not with what they did to me. Now they've set that precedence, like we had been calling. This was always a reason to set precedence, so that in the future, that anybody who stands up will have to go through the same exact conditions and scenarios. To the point that the lefties and the Palestinian protesters that burned our glorious flag all are being released under the conditions RV King. No social media.
Shut up.
I'm fucking dead serious. I'm 100% serious. So if anything, there's a trophy. There's a trophy. I can take that they got the same conditions. We're not so different after all, are we?
Well, it's wild because like a lot of the stuff that they used for the Muslim scare back post 9/11 to write laws that they were going to enact on us. And now the fight that you're fighting against those kind of laws, they're using your defense.
100%. So if we're all familiar with one Deanna Sharif, who's still in jail right now, she was released under my conditions. And then she violated them, and now she's in jail right now. But she was released under my conditions. They used RV King as the base for her bail conditions. The difference is she got released and then breached, and now she can't get released, and she's still in jail. I don't care who you are, and people are going to hate me or they're going to love me. She should not be in there with no bail conditions under this, like what happened to her. I don't believe in that. But you breach. There it is. You couldn't listen and follow the letter of the law. Well, now you breach. So I don't have sympathy on that end. But I do have sympathy.
How did she breach? Do you know?
What's that?
How did she breach? Was that in front of
she something a noisemaker in somebody's face? I wasn't there. So she's not supposed to use any device to interfere or disrupt people's well-being or peace. And she went and did it in front of somebody and stuck it in their face, and then the police just arrested her for violating her conditions. The judge put her up on the stand or brought her up in front of the courts, and she started spewing off, and the judge was like, yeah, you're not getting out. We're going to hold you. That virtue signaling didn't work so well in the courtroom.
No, there's still a little bit of sanity in some parts of the courtrooms.
Agreed.
Was there a rumor that you tried to defend yourself in court using some of these? I hate using the freeman on the land attitude, or sovereign citizen, or any of those fucking slang terms.
No, not in this trial, but in the upcoming ones, I am. So I have two other things that I have to deal with, and we will be exercising those. They've already been enacted and are exercising those already. In this one, I was captured and placed on the ship in the brig in this aspect. So I was forced to use the Crown's lawyers. So I used the lawyers to prove now that this Charter of Rights and Freedoms is not even worth the ink it's written in, because now even the judge stated in the trial that I was protected under the Charter. Well, if I was protected under the Charter and I was protected under the freedom of peaceful assembly and peaceful protest, I should not have been charged at all. But even the judge, and I can't wait when we get to that stage, I'm going to read you exactly what the judge said. In fact, hell, Derek, let's read it right now.
I'm all ears.
Essentially, no, and we all know this if you were there, essentially no violence or property damage occurred over the 3 weeks of the protest. And indeed, King counseled against violence in very direct and blunt terms in his online broadcasts. This massive demonstration involving large commercial trucks and a diverse group of people, some with extreme political views, carried with it a significant risk of violence and property damage, neither of which occurred. King advocated forcefully against such conduct and can be credited as a positive influencer in significant respects.
What, justice of the peace, or a
Superior Court, Upper Court, Superior Court Justice Hackman.
Does that mean They're the ones that wear the Santa Claus outfits?
They wear the gown and the white, yeah. But not the fake hair and all that shit.
No, like the Supreme Court of Canada, when they stand for their formal dress, they're all wearing suits, red and white ones.
Yeah, no, he doesn't wear that one. He's just below the Supreme. So we're in Superior,
okay.
And then the next stage is Supreme Court.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I've never gone through the court system that high that I've had to.
Well,
didn't know there was a difference.
We soon will be in front of that court because I'm not taking it lying down.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. And it seems that a few people have been going down this road lately as well. Is the myth is Canada? That it's tough to explain. It is.
Yeah.
In a way that people can understand, but there is glaring examples that you can point at as evidence and proof.
There's huge pieces of evidence. In fact, one of those pieces of evidence is coming true in right now in real time. And that is the Hudson Bay Company is about to claim bankruptcy. And if you know the myth and you understand Rupert's Land, Hudson Bay, and the North American or the Northern Passage up north, you'll understand what's kind of going on and how the myth breaks down that everything from the onset of Canada coming to be known as the Dominion of Britain under the B&A Act, and how the B&A Act was never ratified, along with our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, has never been ratified. Not all joining provinces signed at the same time. In fact, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Quebec never signed in at all, which makes that document null and void. But we've been living under this myth that this document holds us all together when really it doesn't. But then you look into a very serious document called the 1931 Statute of Westminster. And in that, it was deemed that each province is autonomous of the federal government, which means we have the rights to harvest our resources, sell them to whoever we want, and to accordingly, and take the monies for those resources and disperse them within our province before we do it to the rest of the province or offer the ability to the rest of the provinces. Each province can do that. BC can do it. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, they're all in charge of their own resources. But now what you have is you have a federal government dictating what we can do with those resources and what we can do within our provinces. The federal government has no rights to step in on our provincial provinces. So they can't step in and do anything. But what we have is a bunch of suit dummies that bow down and get on their knees to the federal government because it's a big club, Derek, and we ain't part of it.
Well, they like the money that comes from the Fed as well. That's all borrowed. I mean, Doug Ford, that's the only reason he ended up being buddies with Trudeau, is that federal funding that comes in.
And that's exactly it. Here's a bunch of, and we see it every day within the political stage that is the House of Commons when, you've got these coalition governments such as the NDP and Liberals, but now you've got them talking again, saying all of them, the Bloc, the Green Party, the NDP, and what's the other one? This one? The Bloc, the Green Party, NDP. All of them saying they're going to formulate a coalition to go against the Conservative Party. But what they do is, hey, I'll grease your palm with your grants and give your funding for your programs if you vote and swing in my way. So they're basically sitting in there, bribing each other across the floor in the House of Commons to manipulate what the people are asking for so that it doesn't happen and hinder it. And you and I, we've proven it, don't have a say in this.
Oh,
and the reason they get away with that is because of they know that the myth is Canada. They know Canada is an illusion, but they think that we're dummies and we don't have the ability to research this ourselves. I'm waiting for Doug. We were going to have Doug in here, but I don't know what's going on. Yeah, he can explain it a lot better. I can explain it in the manner that I know and what I'm doing with it.
Well, we're seeing just through our own eyes and our own evidence, we're seeing the sham. Like, we know that you can't infiltrate federal politics. We just watched the conservatives knew it. If you were going through the conservative thing, I think you probably would have too during the first convoy, right? You would think conservative.
Oh,
or
absolutely,
maybe even PPC, right? Like, that's the way I was leaning back then. But then you realize during their national convention that you can't even change a policy. They pushed everybody out, and the milk cartel basically took over. Correct. So splintered from that, you ended up getting the PPC, thinking, oh, we'll do something different. Now you're seeing the exact same thing with the Liberals, and I hope that wakes them up a bit. It's like, you don't have a say in who your fucking leader is. They're putting Mark Carney in there with what I don't really care. It's not a big fucking surprise to me at all. Like, the guy's going to be installed. 150,000 votes decided who our prime minister is.
Yeah. And not only the prime minister, but an unelected member of the Liberal Party. Basically, it's like you and I, Derek, if we walked into the Conservative Party right now and we paid our dues and they were doing a regime change and you and I put the money down, $350K,
yeah,
we could have been running for prime minister, and there's nothing that anybody could have did about it.
That's like, you don't live in what you believe is a democracy. Like, the biggest petition in Canadian history, tossed to the side. There's not a government right now. There's no functioning government, but they're still coming out and banning guns.
Exactly. And they're still going out and saying, we're going to push universal childcare while calling myself a Zionist. You've got Trudeau standing there welling up with his drama teacher tears, pitching to single mothers, probably, I'm just assuming, and I apologize, ladies, if that offends you, but pitching to single mothers who need the help, and they think he's going to give them their universal child care so that they can actually afford daycares for their kids. All the while he's not in government. All the while he's prorogued it and is stepping down. And he even lets the Freudian slip in that interview. And he says, even in the last days of the Liberal Party, I still stand with universal childcare. And then not even hours later, he's in a news conference calling himself a Zionist.
Yeah.
And people are just like this. Oh, yeah? More. And I'm like, wow.
It's incredible. Like, I was shadow banned on Facebook and Instagram for a long time. And for whatever reason, it's just opened up. Now I'm starting to get views again. And like, you could tell the actual difference when it started. And I'm getting into some of these groups and looking at just a sample of what people are saying. There's still a lot of fucking messed up people in this country. Like, there is a lot of liberals or liberal minded. I don't know if that's the right word. Far leftists.
But people that live, and you know what, I heard it. Like, who was it? I think it was Dan Bongino who said it the other day on his podcast, or someone in that caliber of podcast, who said, if you look at it and how the left wing or the liberal minded people push their agendas on us, it is a form of nationalism. It's a left wing nationalist movement. And it is that movement that is ruining everything that we've believed in, raised under, and basically have our moral compasses that keep us pointing straight. And these guys are destroying it in a manner just like nationalists. Yet we're the ones being called nationalists. We're the ones being called Yahtzees or whatever the term is. Or
nationalist was a swear word like a year ago. Now, I'm so disgusted with all of it. Like, Trudeau talking about being a post-national state, and now you want to bring back the nationalist spirit, all because Trump might ruin the corporate party that you guys have been having over here for a while.
And that's it. And I think Doge, what they're doing is they're threatening to come up here. And there's a clause that makes them allowed to come up here and do it is under the USMCA Act, Section 27. And I think he came and flexed on Trudeau. I really do. This is what I think what happened. And ladies and gentlemen, this isn't truth. I'm just giving a speculation from an observation. So for those out there taking this and running it, trust me, it's just my observation. Trump calls them all down to let them know that, hey, man, we got all this, and this. We have this clause in the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement that states that we can come and investigate if at any time there's any kind of collusion, bribery, infiltration, foreign interference in our partnering countries. Either you step down right now and open the books so that we can straighten this out, or we're going to expose it all. Not like Canadians don't already know it, but there is a report that went out not too long ago where CISA stated that if Canadians really knew how bad it was, how really bad
I've been
Canada
saying that
is.
for how many years? Like, guys, every once in a while you see this guy poke his head up with the glasses on. He's like, yeah, Canada's been subverted since like Mulrooney. And like nobody's doing anything. He's like throwing papers in the air, basically. He's like, can't do anything. What are we doing? Like, I've told the RCMP, I've told everybody, like, I've went on the news and I fucking said it, and nobody's doing it. Do you know how frustrated that guy must be?
I would be beating. I would quit my job and move to an island somewhere where nobody can find me. Because I know too much. They're gonna try and kill me. I better see them coming. But not only that, at least here, I'm on my own. I can do it myself. I don't need anybody else. Do you know that I was in jail? Remember that CSIS guy that got arrested about 8 years ago for selling secrets to China? I was in one wing in Ottawa Carleton Detention Center. I was in maximum security where he's being held for 7 years, no charges. 7 years held for treason.
Well,
I was in with him. I watched him. I talked to him.
7 years.
And the shit that man knows. Boy, oh boy. I'm not going to say it on here because, sorry, CSIS, I know he's one of yours, but I also know you're good from 1,000 yards too, so I ain't saying it.
Imagine picking that guy's brain. I mean, how can Canada even charge anybody with treason?
Exactly. But the question that I asked him was, well, as he was walking by my cell door, and you only get a brief instance to interact with him. They keep him secluded at the far end of the range, and you're locked up 24 hours a day, so you don't get to talk. And when he walked by, I said, so how much did China pay you to sell us out? And he said, China never paid me anything. It's what I reported to my upper command. And when he brought it out, and I'm only making a hypothesis here, he came out to the upper chain of command, let them know what was going on. Somebody higher up silenced him and locked him up.
Yeah.
Like a Snowden, like an Edward Snowden kind of situation. And that's what I feel is he was trying to expose something. I don't think he was selling secrets.
No, Snowden got away. Who's the other guy? He just got Assange.
Oh, Julian Assange, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they get out when the regimes change, probably.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you could talk about infiltration, but it's not only coming from the Chinese. Like, we're just an economic zone at this point. And I could see Trump coming in under the NAFTA agreement or even the USMCA agreement, because if we ever go into defunct or they find that treason or the colluding with their enemies. Now, who would their enemies be?
China. China's one.
Is that the only one that we?
No, Russia is another one.
Right? Do you think there's heavy Russian collusion in Canada?
How about the Iranian collusion, where up north in Saskatchewan in the uranium mines that they're selling yellow cake uranium and flying it back to Iran out of Fort McMurray?
That I'm not too. I don't know anything about that. I know.
I do. I investigated it.
Chinese. I remember the Chinese ports you went and took a look at. I know that they're running rampant with their own docks and shit.
Yeah.
But Iranians in northern Manitoba, Saskatchewan, you said?
Yeah, the uranium plant. There's a uranium mine up north of Saskatchewan, and supposedly Trudeau's right in bed with it. He was the one made the deal, and they're selling. They're taking the yellow cake uranium right out of there, transferring it over to Fort McMurray, and flying it out of Fort McMurray. Why does Fort McMurray have an international airport?
When did this start? When did that?
This is the last 10 years. I discovered it back in 2019.
I remember when they were building a 150,000 square foot mosque, and I was looking at it like, that looks like an airport.
Right after the fires, they took over, and the land that was burnt, I covered that one too. North America's largest mosque. I was up there, saw it all. It was sold because the Christians had that land. The church had the land, burnt the church. So the church decided to move it, sold the land, not knowing who they were selling it to. And then they got this world's largest mosque. That son of a bitch is huge. It is huge. But why do you have it in northern butt-fuck Alberta?
So they could take care of our energy sector.
So when
I was saying that exactly. Fucking 6 years ago, I was saying this is going to happen, and now they've had 6 years to work on it. We're just being strip mined. We're an economic zone.
Yep.
We can't.
And China purchasing the mines up in Nunavut that have underground storage facilities and full range airstrips for large commercial airlines out of the north, and nobody's watching them. You got PP up there going, we're going to build a force up in the north and we're going to protect the north. Yeah, no, bro. You're training them in CFB Petawawa. They were training, and my bro, he was there teaching them in Petawawa on our tactics of fighting in the wintertime. And he went up to his chain of command and said, yo, doesn't this seem a little bit fishy that we're training our enemy here on how to dismantle and take out of our equipment and how to fight wars in our climate? And none of this is fishy. And he got reprimanded.
Yeah, I remember the guys being caught at Manitoba. I think Key and Bexley did something on that at Manitoba Air Force Base. We've seen them with the level 4 biolabs infiltrating that. Who is that lady that they were holding detention there for Yahweh? Not Yahweh. Hawaii. Yahweh.
Yeah.
For Hawaii.
Melissa's going to slap your hand for saying Yahweh.
Yeah. Fuck. No, Huawei and the 5G network that they were complaining about, like
Huawei is how
Huawei. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yahweh.
and then you take that out of there, right? And now Trudeau's like, oh no, they know about Huawei. Okay, well we're no longer in bed with Huawei anymore. We're not doing that anymore. Sorry, China. And then what does China say? Okay, I see what you're doing. We want this asset up north. We want this asset in Ontario, Northern Ontario, in the Emerald, the Ring of Fire. We want this resource in BC. We want this resource, and you're going to sign it over. And Mr. Fancy Socks, okay, here you go, and gave it all away.
Well, it's Harper that signed the agreement in FIPA.
It was
that
Harper,
allowed
yes.
that it opened up the market to Chinese money, Chinese communist money to invest in Canada, which is fucking just a giant mistake.
So in all of this stuff and everything that I've uncovered, what I investigated traveling across this country prior to the convoy and all of that stuff, it all fell on deaf ears. I tried to give it to reporters. Even Kean couldn't do anything with it. I tried giving it to Rebel. Well, we all know what Rebel's all about, but anyway, we tried, and then I get in shit right with the convoy because I've had enough and I'm pissed off and I want to get something done. Then we get in the Public Order Emergencies Commission, and I testified at it. And when I testified at it, I explained to them, hey, do you not know that I have a government target on my back? And this is why I'm being treated the way I am, because I discovered the Chinese infiltration, the $42 billion infrastructure that Trudeau sold out to China, out from under Albertans and Alberta's ability to be the leader in the industry, and you sold it over to China. Then in your clause in the agreement between them, you allowed China to have assets on Canadian soil to protect their infrastructure that they're building, which is none other than Chinese soldiers. Then that started the whole rumor of that. Then you get into the Chinese police stations all across Canada, Vancouver, Toronto. I investigated those. They start getting dismantled. Then I'm standing at the Public Order Emergencies Commission. And after I said that, my lawyer says, okay, we're done. Questioning's done. They went, OPP, any questions? Nope. RCMP, any questions? Nope. CSIS, any questions? Nope. None of the law enforcement wanted to ask me a question. I'm being held under all these conditions for attempted overthrow of the government, according to them. And not one law enforcement wanted to ask me a question after I told them, hey, I'm the one that, I am uncovering all of these things and you guys aren't doing anything about it. 3 days later, next thing you know, you're hearing it in the news. Oh, China's this, China that, China this, China that. And it's like, oh, because this was publicly broadcasted, now you have to report on it because it was all publicly going. It was all live 24/7. And now you got to report on it.
Yeah. Yeah, they get forced their hand, basically, is the only way to talk about it. But just they're talking about it. And like we were just talking about earlier, CSIS has come out and said, yeah, they've infiltrated our elections. Every election has been compromised since Mulrooney. It's like,
and
there's no recourse.
Every prime minister is known.
You know what's fucked up? Trudeau walking out of the House of Commons today with his chair.
What?
Yeah, he walked out of the House of Commons. He took his chair with him.
No.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's so nobody can get any DNA from it and link them to Castro.
I don't know, but is this a common thing? Is this like, am I missing a tradition? Did his dad do that or something like that? Or is this like he's literally stealing the prime minister's chair for like the last time it's ever going to be used?
Well, he did let a Freudian slip out and say that this will be the last election in Canada. This next one. I don't see Pierre.
I can't see Pierre as leader. I still can't see Pierre as leader. I can't.
I can because the population of Canada is on the cusp of revolt, and they need to put Milhouse in there to calm the rest of you guys and understand that we are conservatives. And he's preaching the preach and talking the talk. Well, maybe there's something there, but at least if anything, give him the rope, man. Give him the rope, because at some point they're going to make a mistake. The rest of the population is going to come out on them. The right wing's going to come out. The left wing's going to come out, and they're all going to realize, hey, this government isn't legit. And we're going to be like, yep, we knew this. Tried to tell you. The myth has always been the illusion.
And is that just something Trump is taking advantage of? Like, regardless, we're in a position, whether you believe in Canada or the myth or any of it, we put ourselves in a position that we should be economically taken over by somebody. Nobody's ever been over this over leveraged. Like,
well, Canada's gone bankrupt. I don't know if you've known that since 2007, right? And then Trudeau went and bummed a bunch of money off the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and in doing so, he was supposed to have an ROI for them, and he's basically cratered Canadians' GDP to not have any rate of return on investment. So now you've got the banker coming in to try and cook the books, to try and get them straightened out, to say, oh, the budget's going to balance itself. No, this man's in here to sign over assets.
2007, that would have been the 2008 crash. And I see my family, it's funny. They say, oh, nothing happened. Harper saved us. Yeah, but he saved you with Chinese money by allowing them to invest in Canada. And that's what fucked us over. And now as soon as Trudeau got in, he made everything worse. Like, yeah.
So there's no other plausible thing than the United States acquiring our assets, taking them back, not for Canada, but for themselves, but in the same sense, saving us as Canadians, and not allowing this foreign enemy into the soil north of them that puts a direct threat onto the Americans. I don't agree with it. I love Canada. So for anybody out there that thinks, oh, you know what, you're selling us out. No, I love this country. But at this point, our military is so weak. Our economy is being destroyed and dismantled. And we have no other option than to have our asses saved. So why not encourage an economic partnership between the United States with zero borders? Man, it's kind of a no-brainer in my mind.
That's the way they've set it up, if you ask me. It's meant to be that Canadians feel some economic pain, but we're not doing anything about it. Let's be honest. We're just waiting until something happens. Nobody's doing anything. You can't do anything. We've gone to protests. We realize that doesn't work. You can't complaining, protesting, voting, petitioning. None of it works.
One of the biggest things I said that the CBC used against me, and they stated it right in the Fifth Estate interview that they butchered, is you said it's going to take bullets. I said, no, go and look at the first 20 seconds and the last 20 seconds. I said, What are you going to do when protesting doesn't work? What are you going to do? Are you going to wait until it takes bullets? Because protesting ain't working, but we're going to try. We're going to attempt for the, the common folk to understand, hey, we're protesting and this is working and we're going to win this. And yeah. Well, I'm a prime example that it didn't work.
Well, it was kind of the public sentiment at the time is that on a giant stage, Canada showed, hey, we want to do this peacefully. We don't want this. And they got pushed down with force. So on a giant stage, we basically said, yeah, so anything that happens next, we get it. And Canada didn't do anything next.
Yeah. And Trump being as patriotic as he is now, and I want to say this to the followers, to the listeners out there. I can't stand the fucking guy. I can't stand the way he talks. I can't wait to stand the way he acts, his lips, and it's just it's like nails down the chalkboard.
Yeah.
But on a patriotic sense of things, the way he stands up for his country, protects his borders, wants to see the best for his people, wants to see the economic strength that is the United States to come back to where it once was. I can get on that. I can adopt those policies. I can agree that that's what needs to be done. And I think he was rather insulted, and he speaks very highly about it. He's rather insulted of what fucking numbnuts and the rest of those cronies in Ottawa did to us and what they did to the Canadian people for peacefully protesting. Hell, the judge even states in the document, in the sentencing, it was a lawful protest. It was a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
It just got out. Oh, am I still here?
Yeah. Can you hear me still? It was slowing down a little bit, but I thought you were still here. Is that working?
Attack of the cyber attacks.
Yeah. Wow, that's Elon Starlink.
We that.
Wait for it to clear up. This happens every once in a while. But Donald Trump, how do you feel about his stance on Israel and what's happening there? He wants to turn it into Trump Gaza. Oh, can you hear me at all?
Yeah, real time. 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4. Huh.
Yeah, there's a lag or a delay between you and I.
They're telling me on Entropy mine's okay. All right. I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. You know he's not going to leave us hanging like that. That might happen on my end later where I got to replug mine. But I'm sure he'll be back. We got to get into a few other topics as well because I understand where he's coming from. If it was the old America, yeah, I'd be all for it. You know, becoming another 51st state, because your history is more than just your flag and the corporate fiction, right? You have a lot more history in that people often forget. But hopefully we can get Pat back in here because I did want to talk about him with a few of these things. He'll reboot. Diago Eames says, another good guess, Derek. However, you should also try to have lawyer Nicholas Wansbutter on your show to push a bit on some of the sovereign citizen fake Canada stuff. Yeah, for sure I would. That'd be nice to have him on. Figure out who that is. There's another guy I wanted to talk to too. The nation state of Teos guy. King Regis Lucius, I think his name was. I want to find out if he's still in jail and talk to him. Well, it seems as though we're still Still streaming on all the platforms. Have I heard of HR 51? No, I have not. Yeah, it looks like Pat got grabbled. He does shows with Greg Wycliffe? Sure, yeah, I'll talk to the guy. Don't know exactly who you're talking about at this point, but yeah, I would like to. I'll bring him on if he wants to lean the other way on that subject. See if we can get Pat back in here.
How's that? Are we good?
Think so? I can't see you yet.
Uh-oh.
There you are.
Okay, there we are.
Let's try the real-time test then. 1, 2.
1, 2.
All right, that's close enough.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I guess somebody might have not liked what I was saying. Maybe I got scrambled. Man. Hang on, let me just see if there's a unit outside the house here. Scrambling me.
I don't even know if they have to do that anymore, do they?
No,
do they need to send things around? Like they could just sit in an office and listen to what we're talking about right now anyway. Well, we're doing it fucking live. Like they're watching.
Yeah, they're embedded. And you want to know what? It's funny you said that. They're sitting at home watching us in live. The criminal analysts that they came in and had go through every one of my videos for the trial, I swear I thought like that poor lady probably had nightmares, woke up, packing. She had to watch everything for hours, bro. Hours.
Yeah. When I went to talk to CSIS that one time, I was asking them about it, and they messaged me afterwards. Like I was telling guys, I know they say, "Oh, you're talking to the fucking feds." I'm like, I'm not doing anything illegal. Like, there's no reason to charge me. And I learned a lot about CSIS and how they work as an organization and stuff like that. But they told me that they sat around and watched my stream after that because they knew I was going to do a video about it. So, yeah, it was kind of funny at the time. But all the research I've done since then, talking about them, yeah, I've learned that they're up to nefarious shit as well.
Oh yeah,
like
why are you surveilling citizens?
Like,
what about that? What about
that's all they can do. Their only job is to surveil citizens. Like,
and the state of the art technology that they had flying over the convoy while we were there, and they were monitoring everybody's cell phones and communications.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it was crazy. The shit that came out at the Public Order Emergency Commission that a lot of people probably haven't seen yet or have taken the time to look through the transcripts that are public knowledge. You'd be surprised at what the Canadian government and the Canadian military did against us. And in any place, that's an act of war on its citizens. We should be like, woo! But, I don't know.
It's
sit
crazy
back, smoke
to
your
think
doobies, drink your beer.
Yeah, well, I've changed my tune about doing that. I used to drink a lot more, smoke a lot more. Now I'm working a lot more.
Nice. I'm getting prepared.
Well, yeah. What are you gonna do? Sit and talk about this your entire life, or you're just an asshole if you're not getting ready?
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. A bug out strategy. Three different bug out strategies. That's what I have. I have 3 separate bug out strategies.
Yeah.
Well, one of them involves, I'm thinking the next one would be political asylum in the United States. I thought about it mid-trial.
There was a lady, the governor of New Mexico, that was offering it, I think, during the convoy.
Yes, I actually wrote to her.
Yeah?
I wrote and asked for asylum in New Mexico, and I never got a response. I've thought about it many a times, but you see, during my trial, Trump wasn't in just yet. It wasn't until after my trial that Trump got in.
Did Kevin J. Johnson try to run down there and he fucking froze his feet or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a funny story no matter how you look at it. Like, it's fucking.
It is.
Didn't think the snow would be that deep, I guess.
And either way, like, if you're gonna do something like that, like, prepare for that shit. Like, Put the baffins on. Get your fucking snow gear on. You know, Mylar blankets so they can't see your heat signature and 50 below the weather. You stand out like a sore thumb.
Oh, there's a lot of ways you could have got across that didn't, that didn't involve what you're doing.
No, that's right.
But I just got a super chat there from Man on the Mountain. He says, we were rolling through Red Deer a couple of years ago and saw a car with DAG flag on the back window. We pulled up beside it and giving slashies to the driver. The dude rolled his window down and says, I'm Chief Dogma. Then the passenger sticks his head out. I'm Pat King.
No, say it right. You looked over and went, holy fuck, it's Pat King. That's how it went. The fucking Pat King. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Me and Chief were like, holy shit, boys, what's up?
That was funny. Fucking same thing happened to you at Danger Cats.
Yeah.
When Uncle Hack was up on stage, dude. And that, honestly, that's the funniest part of the whole inquiry was you correcting the lawyer on your joke.
Well, it was a joke. Right? It was a joke, and you couldn't even get the joke right, man. I may as well have I had to reiterate the joke, man.
Dude, that was so funny. Like, I think everybody just paused with a, did he just like just start laughing, man. I couldn't believe it.
We had to throw the humor in there.
Not chains, change.
Yes. Yeah. Get it right, you suit dummy.
Oh my god!
And I still use his line. Like, I call them all suit dummies now because it's such a freaking fitting name for them.
Yeah,
unreal.
Yeah, it's unreal what they're stealing from us.
Hey man, I'm liking your Rumble. I'm looking at your Rumble site, looking at chats in there as well. I can see them in the side chats, but that's pretty good. Maybe I should curve myself over to that. I've done everything on Facebook, so.
Rumble, yeah. I wasn't sure if I believed the numbers I was getting over there at first, but apparently a lot of people went over to it. They're serious about ditching YouTube, and YouTube is a lot of ads.
Oh God, yeah. I do have a project, and I don't know. You allow a guy to share a screen with you?
Sure.
Okay, I want to share this here with you. Just a little something.
Well, while we wait for you to get that ready, I just wanted to mention I got a new catchphrase I thought you might think is funny.
Okay.
With the idea of the myth is Canada and putting thing in holding companies and stuff like that, I will own nothing and I will be happy.
Fair assumption, yeah.
Essentially, you don't want to own anything and keep it all in holding companies so they can't take it from you.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's my new catchphrase.
I don't know why I can't unpause this. I'll see here. I'll share it with you anyway, and I'll see if it lines up with the screen. But this is something for the show and for your followers to keep watch for.
I'm not getting the sound on it.
Oh, no sound?
No.
Oh, well, for Fox Creek. And I had it all set up to dub for you. Hang on, let me stop sharing. Present.
Send me the link and I'll put it up.
There you go. Here, now you can do it. Now you should get volume. Ready?
Yeah.
Being so quiet and watching the demise of our country on a world level, that it pissed me off. I have no rights to social media. I have no rights to speech. I have no rights to bank. I have no rights to peacefully protest. I have no rights of assembly. I have absolutely almost every violation of every charter of rights and freedoms taken away from me. How can I help my fellow man, my community? How do I bring awareness to them and that they're not alone? Well, I've been a firm believer that if you have a problem, the only one who's going to fix it is you. And if you don't get up off your ass and fix it yourself, then you're never going to fix it and you're going to just wallow in it. So when I started to question this and I started going, wait a minute, you got a paper mask on, which can you smell a fart through those masks? Can you smoke through those masks? Absolutely. And let's see if you guys are interested in wanting to hear the rest of the story. This is the project that I'm working on. Been waiting to release this little teaser. You got your debut tonight. So those in the chat,
Ooh, nice.
This is your first glimpse at the what's to come. And I'm moving forward up to the upper echelon of the podcast world, and I've got myself a position with a reputable media company, and I will be getting a position in their company as a podcaster with a Joe Rogan style, Joe Rogan feel, and editors, producers, videographers, and this is something that's coming out. So he wanted me to drop a little teaser tonight on your show, so thanks for letting me do that. It's also up on my Facebook page. Guys, we're moving up in all of this stuff, and we're going to
see that there's some quality to that video.
Oh yeah.
Now I've seen a few videos, not that style, but I mean just that kind of quality. A few podcasters have been coming out that lately talking about Canada. Mm-hmm. Can I ask what company this is, and do you have any other?
The company itself, I'm not going to let the company name out just yet because they're actually applying for something that a lot of people in the Canadian press have. It's called a parliamentary press pass. So I'm not going to give the company out. Yeah, I know, but it gives me a foot in the door to get in their face.
Be fucking hilarious.
Right? And that's the angle that we're playing to get in on it. And I'm hoping it comes to fruition. I do know that it's really tough to make it through the criteria for that. But I'm going to try anyways. And we're applying for it anyways. This one here is with one of their other fellow podcasters. It's a studio with 2 other big name podcasts that run out of this studio. I'll be taking over the third part of the studio. And this one is with Yellow Seats podcast. It's a Hispanic and French platform, so that the reach is out there to everyone, and they're just gaining in leaps and bounds within it. So they offered me a position to come in, and if I would partner up with them, and I said okay. When we did this interview, this is just a small little tidbit of an hour and a half interview that we sat and did. It gets even more juicier. And not only that, we left room in this interview for part 2. There's a part 2 coming to this one. So I'm got to get through this 90 days house arrest, and then I'm out. And this project is going to take off. So for those out there that are wondering what's happening with Mr. Patrick King after all of this, I'm going to get even louder, but on a more higher level and a more higher caliber and a more noticeable platform where I can't be censored, where they can't freeze us up, where they can't get us on verbiage.
Well, one question.
Yeah.
What are you not allowed to talk about?
I have full control over everything I want to talk about. Anything and everything. There is no censorship on me, on my show. I call the shots.
So you could talk about Israel, Palestine, no problem. 100%. Ukraine, Russia.
100%.
Bankers,
100%. I have free
autonomy.
Further? I have full autonomy. I have full autonomy over my show. And that's why I did it. I would not do this without having full voice, full autonomy of my show and what I put into it. He's not afraid. They are actually. This is why they offered to sign me, is because they need somebody like myself that has the fucking balls to call it out. They want that provocative, thought-provoking style, Joe Rogan level, Alex Jones
like that kind of thing here in Canada. And I got picked.
I gotta know what company it is. Like, where's the money coming from? How is this possible?
I'll tell you
this
privately.
is what we all want, right? Like,
I will tell you privately. I know it's what we all want. I know it is. And then we got it. We got it, Derek. And that's where we're at. So this is our opportunity. It'll be on Spotify, Patreon, shared to my Instagram, shared to my Facebook, shared to my Twitter. It'll be all over. Social media team is already getting ready to launch everything. He's working right now on getting just the perfect, just like this teaser. He wants another little teaser before we launch.
They're nice.
We're hyped up to bring the attention. It's sponsorship is how we're getting paid. I've already landed one sponsor. I'm landing another one, hopefully when I get back to Montreal. And he's got several sponsors as well with his that are backing the company. And we're about to launch this free and clear of no censorship worldwide. And let's fucking go.
Hey, dude, more power to you. If that's the case, I mean, that's what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
It's an uncancelable platform to be able to say whatever you want.
Yep. And the guests that I want to have on as well, the caliber of guests, once they see the way it's run, they're going to be like, whoa, I want on that show. I got something to say. One of them, they were asking if I would interview. I'm not fucking kidding. They were asking if I would interview the Tate brothers.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to. Do you think you would be up for that? And I was like, yep.
Yeah, why not?
Find out the real story, right?
Well, that's it, right? I've said this to Jeremy before because he's friends with Ryan Dawson, and Ryan Dawson has talked to the Tate brothers and not, and it's people have their own moral conundrum because they heard a story about Tate, or there's different videos of different things and stuff like that. But is it a net positive with the reach he has to talk about certain subjects? Right? A lot of people could think Tate's also CIA as well, right?
I've heard
You get that rumor with everybody. It doesn't matter who it is in prominence. It's either they're a CIA stooge, they're an Israeli fucking shill, they're this type person. Like, I get those labels too. I'm a Fed. I'm
a fucking Fed. I was on a cruise ship drinking beer while everybody thought I was in jail. I'm a clone now. Now I'm a clone, Derek. I'm not the same guy that was at the convoy because I put a little bit of gray in for men. My girlfriend friggin' colored me up so I would look a little bit younger and try and help me with that. And now all of a sudden I'm a fucking clone.
That's awesome. I wish I got the clone accusation. You got me there.
That got me, man. I was like, yes, I've finally been called a clone.
Clone. That's it. And then you should get a cover up on one of your tattoos or something like that, and don't tell anybody. And they'll say, see, his tattoos are different.
Hey, let's go.
Just super chat from Brian7316 says, great interview, Derek. Much respect, Pat. You're a true patriot.
Thanks, guys. It's been a hard road. I'm not gonna lie. There were moments where I would break. I thought I was going to. Did I ever tell? I haven't told you what I went through while I got arrested. So I get arrested thinking, okay, mischief charges. Fucking A, I'll be out in 24 hours. Nope.
Sure.
Yep. Nope. You ain't getting out 24 hours. Okay. They interrogated me for 4 hours up in Elgin Street at the jail. They're the police station, sorry. When the interrogation officer, a homicide officer, comes in by the last name of Pascal, sits down in front of me, he says, hey, you know where you are? I said, no, I'm sitting in a fucking interrogation room, dude. Like, yeah, I know where I am. No, do you know what's significant about this room? I said, no. He's like, do you know Colonel Williams, the Air Force pilot that got caught murdering and wearing women's clothing? I'm like, yeah. Oh, you're sitting in the same chair as him, as he did. And right in my interrogation, I'm like, you're a fucking sick fuck, I said to him right to his face. Pardon the language, weird. Melissa, but that's what I said. And it's all in there. And I said it. They interrogate me for 4 hours. I get dropped back downstairs into the bullpen. I'm in the bullpen for almost 3 days. So that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they transfer me over to Innis late Saturday or Sunday. I get over to Innis, then it's back to court that Monday. My bail's denied, automatic 30 days. Take me back to Innis, stick me in solitary fucking confinement for 68 days with the lights on. Basically torturing me with the lights on. I don't know what day it is. I don't know where I am. I can't tell you if it's a Monday or a Friday. That Russell Williams, that's his name, 100%. Kelly Lloyd said in YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, and he tried to use that against me. And then I get 68 days in solitary confinement. I almost broke there. Like I snapped, kicking the walls and shit on a cement pad. They give you the one inch cushion, but it's all cement. Then from there, they decide, okay, he doesn't have COVID, and no, he's not going to start a prison riot. That was their worry. That was why they put me in solitary. Okay? That's what it was. Because all the prisoners were like, yeah, let's go do it, boys. They were glued to the TVs, I guess. So I get out of there. They say, okay, you don't have COVID. They tried to stick that shit up my nose. I refused. 6 guards come in the infirmary. They're trying to shove this shit up my nose, and I'm like, not a fucking chance. I'm like, you guys know what I'm doing, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't stand for this. I've been in here 14 fucking days. I don't have a sniffle. So why do you need to shove this thing up my nose? Then they said, okay, fine. You're going to be, you're not a model prisoner. We're going to stick you in one wing, which is maximum security, 24-hour lockdown. I'm in 24-hour lockdown. Yeah. And I'm in with a double homicide. Young kid, probably about mid-20s. And looking pretty 1,000-yard stare. Been in jail for 2 years, waiting for trial. He's sitting in this place for 2 years in this maximum security wing for all the offenders that are like crazies and murderers. And I'm in jail with this kid, and I can see it in his eyes. And I look, and I'm sitting there, and one day he gets released. I'm like there for like 3 days. He gets released to go make a phone call, so I'm in there by myself. And then he comes back. He's like, I know who you are. And right away, I put my back against the wall, right? Here we go, boys. He says, oh, no, Pat, not like that, man. I just want to let you know that I'm going to take care of you in here. And I was like, oh, you are? He's like, yeah. I got off the phone with my mom. She says you're a really good guy and that we should make sure that you're okay while you're in here. And I said, your mom says I'm a good guy? He says, yeah. In fact, my mom was the woman who came down to Kent Street and cooked the pig. His mom came down and cooked the pig.
That's awesome.
And that's the story. And I get in there, and I'm in this room, and I feel that weight. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm okay now. And then I hear down the hall after 30-some days of living in this total 24-hour lockdown situation, I can hear down the corridor this guard. What the fuck are you doing? You're gonna get this guy fucking killed. This is absolute bullshit. What are you doing? Show me where he is. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, because whenever you hear stuff that's down the hall, it's like entertainment for you, right? Because there's nothing else to do.
Sure it is.
Like, yeah. What? So all of a sudden, this guard, you can hear it clink, clink, keys jingling, and the boots are duck, duck, buck, buck, buck. Comes up, and I can't see at this point, but then all of a sudden I get boom, boom, boom on my cell, and I'm standing right by the door. I'm like, holy fuck, what's going on? I look through my little window, right? It's like this big little square window. I look through the window. What's up? He says, King, pack your shit. You're out of here. I guess they had been looking for me for a week. Nobody in the jail knew where I was. And and then when he found out that I'm down here, and he said it, he's in here for a mischief. Are you guys trying to get him fucking killed? That's what he's screaming down the corridor. And they goes, pack your shit. We're getting you out of here. So I packed my stuff, and I left, and I went down to general population at that point. But that's after over 3 months of solitary confinement, isolated 24-hour lockdown. I come out of there just like, whoa, that's cool.
Sure. Just fucking happy to be somewhere different.
Yeah. And that's for a mischief. And no criminal charges prior to young offender charges. I had young offender charges. I'd never had a violence. They're all a weed charge. There's a credit card charge where my mom gave me shit for taking her credit card when I was 16 years old. And yeah, so I never did anything wrong. I wasn't a career criminal. I wasn't a violent criminal, but that's the treatment I went through while I was in after all of this. They were trying to break me.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have you just because, like, technically the organizers disowned you and they wanted nothing to do with you, right?
That's what they say.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what their lawyers say.
Yes.
But
that backfired real well, didn't it? How did that turn out for you guys?
Yeah.
That backfired.
But yeah, I just watched that video of you getting arrested today in the car. Fuck, that was a trip. That was a while ago.
Bro. So that let me tell you about that little mask wearing pumpkin puffer police officer. That guy takes the stand in my trial, tells the judge that he feared for his life, hence the reason he's charging me with resisting arrest. And I'm resisting arrest. Not only am I resisting arrest, but I'm being charged with obstruction of justice because Chief's door was locked. So that's obstruction. I had no control over the door. I couldn't unlock it. My hands were up in the air, as you see in the video. They have a dart hanging out of my mouth, and I'm like, I'm calling my lawyer. The judge says, does he not have the right to call a lawyer? The officer says, yes. He says, and at any time you felt threatened, your life was threatened? He says, oh, yes. Mr. King was live streaming that put me in danger, that all these people would come down to where he was at, and they would come and create a scene and a riot and cause us not to, put my life in jeopardy. The judge looks right at him and says, so you were scared for your life? Do you not have a service weapon on your hip, Mr. Officer? He says, yes. Well, you didn't draw on it. You didn't pull out your taser. You didn't pull out your firearm. Well, I was in fear for my life, so yes. And he says, you never drew your firearm. I'm going to throw this out. He says, oh, no. It's true. And he says, no, I'm not going to hear any more of this. Counsel, count 4 is off the table, he says. Basically dropped it mid-trial. Dropped count 4, which was resisting arrest and obstruction of justice. So now, hang on. So now you have this officer claiming that he was in fear for his life. The judge calls him out. The Crown says, no, we're still going to pursue this. They think the video that they have is the tell-all video. What they don't know is that they were recording in the truck as well. So when they took me out and they showed the period of time that it took to put the handcuffs on me, was 1 minute and 48 seconds that I gave up and let them put the cuffs on me. We show the video to the Crown. We took a break, and the Crown says, oh, I want to see this video that you guys have. We show the Crown the video. The Crown goes, oh, yeah, we won't be pursuing this. Then at the end of trial, the Crown tries to bring it back up again and tries to get me tried under those same things after he denied it. Man, this guy was such a jamoke, bro. Like such a mess.
We've seen it with Jeremy, everything that he's had to go through with his bullshit as well.
Oh, exactly. We scared the bejesus out of them, bro. On a most peaceful and honorable and righteous mission. And that they didn't have any funding of. They didn't have any organization of. And that scared the shit out of them.
It's funny to watch, actually, because it's part of history now. Like the Emergencies Act being called.
That part, yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And why was the Emergencies Act called? They say that it was threatening people with firearms and it was a terrible situation and people were getting hurt. Like, it was all bullshit. All of it was drummed up by bullshit.
Neither of which occurred. It's right fucking there. None of it occurred.
Nope. Not even the ones that they so-called found in Alberta as well. There's no guns at so-called protest.
Yeah.
Guys having guns in a trailer in a different town, somewhere else is not the same as threatening the lives of RCMP officers.
let's not forget also that the Coots blockade was dismantled before the Emergencies Act was invoked, as well as the Windsor blockade was dismantled before the Emergencies Act was invoked. Yep. And now all of a sudden you're left with just Ottawa, and you trampled innocent people who just stood there. And Jody, please answer me, because I've been asking this question for 4 years. Why isn't any politician requesting a vote to repeal the Emergencies Act? I read that the Wars Measures Act was found unconstitutional, so that was renamed to the Emergencies Act. Fancy Socks' father was the prime minister at the time. Yes, this was during the FLQ crisis.
Yeah.
I see history.
I'm just going to grab a drink there, Pat.
Yeah, I see history repeating itself, don't you? Yes, I do. He unlawfully jailed citizens during a peaceful protest, treated them poorly. I can't read the rest of this, but I'm kind of getting the gist of that, Jody. You're absolutely right. It was found unconstitutional. And Justice Mosley's act was found to be that it didn't meet the threshold. Therefore, it was illegal. Now, there is a appeal process right now from Justin Trudeau and his lawyers that are trying to appeal that that verdict from Justice Mosley. Not only that, here's the kicker with that is, yeah, I was tried under the Criminal Code of Canada, but yet when the emergency powers were enacted, it gave them extreme authority to arrest me under the Criminal Code, which I was only arrested during the Emergencies Act, but we couldn't use that in the trial. And the judge even stated in my trial, well, you know, I have to take into account Justice Mosley's decision on the Emergencies Act too. And the whole time I'm sitting there like a dog looking sideways. I'm protected under the charter. It's been deemed lawful and peaceful. And now you're saying you have to take into account Justice Mosley's findings. Why the fuck am I not walking out of this friggin' courtroom right now a free man?
Yeah, it's not a real justice system. None of it's a real justice system. That's why it's all about the appearance of the crown.
Yeah, Calvary, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I remember I was doing the research on the October crisis back then and what he did and how they arrested 1,500 people and charged 1,200, and there's nothing anybody could do. You know, even if they challenged it back then, it's like, well, whatever. It's too late. We did what we did. You know, it was the kidnapping of a politician back then. I think it was Pierre Laporte. Fuck, I'm a little rusty on it. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, those guys got away to Cuba anyway. Like a bunch of them, they negotiated their way out of the country to get to Cuba. Then they went to France. And then negotiated coming back to Canada, but they did like 12 months in jail.
Really?
Really? Yeah, there's a whole story to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I ain't that interested.
Quebec was onto it. They didn't want to be colonized by the English.
That's right.
You know, they were mad. I remember them coming out on the CBC documentary where these guys would come out on national television and were calling Trudeau a queer, and GE Motors got to stay out of Quebec, and all these companies, they wanted to stay strictly Quebec nationalism.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's only because we're giving them equalization payments so that they keep up this facade of what's going on.
Well, they're not even part of Canada. They're actually still owned by France. Why do you think all the goods and services and the equalization payments that go to Montreal, what do you think they're for? They're for the goods and services that come through the port of Montreal and is dispersed out amongst the rest of the provinces. They put a massive tariffs on the rest of the country, hence the equalization payments. But it's made to look like equality, and it's made to look like fairness, and we're spreading the wealth along. But no, it's the myth that we are paying this equalization, but we're really paying tariffs.
Yeah, I remember like learning about all this shit in Alberta's situation and saying 6 years ago, like, it's in Canada's destiny to split up.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I've kind of stepped away from the word patriot and patriotism. You got to look at something deeper. and like your heritage and your race and different things like that. Otherwise, what are you looking at? A corporate logo? The Hudson Bay Company?
Yeah. 100%. What is this part of the flag? And you've watched it in the video.
What, the two faces? Or
that's the land. That's the land. So they locked you down on the land, and this is the water in the middle, and this is you. And ask yourself why Ottawa is on it, why Parliament Hill is on an island.
What, like London?
Okay, now I'm gonna really blow your mind up. Okay,
you mean it's like the city of London, a city or a country within a city?
Exactly, like the Vatican, like Washington D.C.
Washington D.C.
Yes. Now here you go. I'm gonna blow you all away tonight. We all know that when ships come in, right? When we are born. Hang on. How do I want to phrase it? I want to go this way. When a ship is coming across the ocean, it's carrying goods in it, right? That is going to bring to a port. All right. And they're going to offload that. They're going to sign off on it, offload it onto the dock, and then they're going to disperse it amongst the people or put it up for sale. And it brings in a revenue. So the way they get you under this corporate admiral law is as a ship comes in, right? It goes through a canal, goes to the dock or a berth, right? It's called a berth. So they'll pull into their berth, unload their goods, give the manifest, right, of what the goods are, trade it over to the on the dock to the person in charge, and then leave out and go back and pick up a new one. The way they get you and I, okay, are you ready, folks? We are born. Our mothers, what are our mothers called? Our mothers are called a vessel, right? They have the vessel of the baby inside them. The mom's the vessel. The baby is in the water. The baby comes through a canal, the birth canal, and it is received by the dock. And before that dock counts all your fingers and toes, he takes you and makes your manifest, which is your birth certificate, which is later sold on the stock market. I fucking shit you not. That's how we are trapped in this corporate admiralty law.
It's a weird way of explaining it, but yeah, that's essentially it.
That's how it is, and that's how they've locked us in. We are registered and traded. That's right, Supernova, you're absolutely correct. Registered and traded on the stock market.
Yeah, I've heard. In the New York Stock
Exchange. And now how do you get out of that? How do we get out of that? How do we get away from the crown? Well, do you know that you have two birth certificates?
Long form and the small one?
Yeah, but what's the long form? It's not a birth certificate.
Isn't that a banknote?
The long form is a live birth statement, not a birth certificate. It's a live birth statement to say that you are a live entity and not a goods and service. You need to obtain your long form birth certificate or live birth certificate, live birth registration. And you got to go through a process of that live birth registration to mail it back to the government and have them sign off on it and stamp it and give you back your trust, who you are. Now, there's a whole process. I don't know exactly how, the exact process to go through. I was in the midst of doing it, but I was told that if I followed through any further with my live birth statement and receiving my trust, if I were to protest against these governments, then and only then would I be tried for treason, for going against a government that is not mine, that I do not belong to.
Right. Well, that's the deal. If you want to win, you got to shut the fuck up.
That's right. If you want out of the colonial crown system, you no longer have a voice. You can't speak out about it.
So interesting, isn't it?
It's
because that's just it. Some people are in love with the fight.
Yeah.
They don't know what winning looks like.
That's right.
And
but that's where I'm trying to educate people on this now. I'm out of the fight, guys. You will never catch me at another fucking protest for the life of you. Maybe if it's a speaking engagement and it's that's it. But I will not do what happened before.
And even then, it'd be a private members association, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Because now I'm on the outs. I'm on the verge of getting out, and I'm going to educate you guys on the myth. I'm going to start opening up more and more of what we need to do when it comes to constitutional conventions. The first step is going to be a referendum on Section 33 of the Charter. If they do not want to remove Section 33 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and all provinces and territories will sign on that day if it ever happens. If you do not pull out Section 33, which is the notwithstanding clause, and make that document out to be exactly what that document was supposed to do, to protect us from our government, instead of allowing the government to manipulate it and use it against us, then there's no other recourse than the rest of the Canada. If you want to be free and out of this system, we will have to do some things in order to formulate what's called a de jure government, to seat and follow through with what's called a constitutional conventions, where you travel and meet with each and every individual in every city, show them a constitution that is being written up for the people, by the people, we the people, that protects us against the government. And it's a long, arduous task. This is going to be a long, daunting task. But that is your only way out.
I know people have done, well, I've seen other people that have done this too, and they usually end up disappearing.
On an individual level.
Yeah. Like there was a guy, they called themselves the King of Canada. And that was their shtick. And that was all up on YouTube. They came up with their own de jure government. They wrote Westminster, and they did this entire whole thing that they had done with it. And they had the papers from England, and it was hard to understand, but
yeah. So one of the ways that I would bring it up to a lot of people to understand is look up David Wynn Miller, and the other gentleman's name was David Wynn Miller, and the other guy is Quantum English. Russell J. Gould is his name. So Russell J. Gould captured the flag of Canada right now when the last time it went bankrupt. Oh, man, I'm going to put you guys down such a rabbit hole. You guys, you're going to get just twisted. I have to make sure. Well, when I bring this out, when we do get ready, I want to make sure I articulate it appropriately. I don't want to teach anybody anything wrong. I don't want to say it in the wrong manner. So all I'm going to say, the legwork is there for you. Look up Russell J. Gould and the quantum grammar, and look up David Wynn Miller and the Red Thumb Club. And look those up. Look those people up. The CIA actually has a $7 million budget to keep this silent. I interviewed several of them before the convoy. They're about to get erased now because I guess Facebook wants to erase content from back from June 31st and back. So I'm trying to pull all my shit off right now. If you guys are on Facebook and you've got live videos that you've been podcasting, pull them off, start pulling them off now, or you're going to lose all your content. And I think that's what it is. It's another sweep to get rid of evidence and to get rid of shit that's been going on. Miller was killed. Yeah, Arnie Olsen. David Wynn Miller was killed. Yes, over this shit.
Well, that's
when you're getting unalived. This is serious.
Well, that's it. I've talked with a few other people, and they've decided you don't talk about this stuff. That's what gets you hurt. You have to quietly exit, and then. But that's what I mean. People are in love with the fight of the government. So do you want to win, or do you want to be a hero?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were doing with myself as well, is trying to prove to the regular people that this system isn't designed for you. It's designed to enslave you under the usury as the goyim that you are. And I'm saying that in particular verbiage so that you can understand where it all derives from. Gently.
Oh, that's a great way to say it. I just want to mention a couple of super chats there. Toledo says, also, what is the Coots envelope?
What are the in the envelope?
Oh, the Coots envelope. Sorry, I fucking didn't have this up on my big screen. Also, what's in the Coots envelope?
Derek?
It would undermine the public's trust in the justice system. Yeah, well, that's what we were kind of talking about before, right? That's their way around everything. So long as it doesn't affect the crown, if it's in the best interest of the crown and makes them look bad, they can just do whatever they want. We don't have rights.
Andrea Stepanek says, "Yep, I still have the Canada Constitution you sent me, Pat, with Russell J. Gould's blood thumb prints. The Red Thumb Club, signed in blood." Guys, I'm telling you, go look this up. If you want an exit strategy, that's one of them.
Yeah, and I get why people say, oh, there's no magic wand, there's no nothing like that. Like, don't get me wrong, this is not an easy way out. Like, I know people don't understand this. This is not an easy way out. This is just claiming your citizenship away from, your corporate product.
That's right.
It is freedom. It is freedom.
Ultimate freedom. They can't even pull you over. You don't belong in their system. You can purchase insurance.
I know this is a long
purchase insurance
explanation for this. Like, and if somebody in your community or in your company deems you worthy of having a license to drive, you can drive on a public road. But this is what Dean Clifford's gone through. Try explaining that to the cop.
Yeah,
that's going to be a problem.
Okay. So what they do is they impound your vehicle, they charge you, you get up into the courts, and you learn your legalese, and you say to them in the courts, am I in the court for the administration of the city of Red Deer, or am I in a court of law? The judge looks at you, tries to argue with you, tries to get you in a fight, and so that you slip up and use their legalese. And then when the judge starts to entice you into an argument, you say, Your Honor, I do not speak legalese. I am not a member of your society. And in fact, I am an idiot in your court. I do not understand. I stand under. And all of a sudden, the judge, Derek, I've used it. It works.
I got to see it, Pat. I've heard of other people.
In bylaw courts, in the administration of court, it works. In the bylaw sense. In the criminal courts, I'm about to test it. I've done it in the bylaws. And I've had the judge stand up, abandon ship, and I've had all my charges dropped. Now I want to do it in the criminal court. And not
no matter what anybody says, it takes balls to do this shit because you're gambling.
You're fucking shaking,
it's fucking
bro.
gambling. Yeah,
you're shaking.
It takes a certain amount. There's like this crossover with like intelligence and fucking. I'll try it. You know what I mean? Like there's this crossover that has to happen together. It's like because it's just a straight intelligent guy is smart enough to know. Well, there's some consequences of not doing it, but then there's also where this intersection of fuck it, let's what happens.
There's a thought process where your brain says full send.
Yeah, gotta try it. I gotta know. Yeah, I got a couple of super
layman
chats
equals
here.
idiot, but you don't use layman. That's their legalese. That's why you say I am an idiot in your court. It's not calling you stupid. It's calling you a layman. Only in English, not in the Crown's English or the Crown's legalese. And I'm not kidding. I've got a couple buddies probably in here watching. One of them is my buddy Doug. He was in the court and he watched me do it. And he watched the judge abandon ship. And he watched them try and say, I never even showed up to the court. And I said, I'm not here as the corporate entity that you name as Patrick King. I am here under the born name, Patrick James King. My day of birth, or my day of birth is this, and I am a representative for the person you have known as Patrick King on your corporate docket. And it worked, man. It fucking worked, bro. I'm not kidding. They wanted to charge me $10,000 for a bylaw infraction. And they ended up throwing it out of court after the judge abandoned ship.
I have to see it.
I know.
You know what I mean?
know.
Like, it's just one of those things. I got to be there and be like, Jesus Christ, this fucking works.
Yeah.
I'm just going to name off a couple of super chats here.
Okay.
Haley Lonigan was saying that the notwithstanding clause is before the Supreme Court right now. They agreed to hear the case in January regarding Quebec's use of the clause in Bills 21 and 96.
Okay. And I do know the little hints of what's going on in Quebec because I have a girlfriend. She's in Quebec, and then she is. I'm learning what they're doing out there and seeing what their little groups are doing.
Yeah, it's tough to try and pay attention to everything, but I think I'm going to start limiting myself to learning about this. And just, I know how people talk about it and they make fun of you and they're like, oh, it's all stupid. It doesn't matter. It does. It does actually matter.
It's always dumb and stupid when you don't understand.
Yeah.
But once you start to understand, you'll be okay and you'll have it.
Yeah. Chicklet says, I have a question. My kid is required to give the bank all 5 kids' birth certificates prior to getting a mortgage. What are your thoughts on this? This is the interesting part that comes in. I have a buddy that has 2 kids, no birth certificates, anything. And they are going down this route. But again, we're guys that are just like, we know it's bad, but we don't know how to make it better. You know, like.
I tried extremely to not get my kids' birth certificates with my ex-wife. I did not want them. But the government threw her an incentive that if you sign them up, you'll be eligible for money. And I was like, no, don't do it. Next thing I know, they did it.
Yeah.
Bro, you know what? I seen somebody ask, sorry to cut you off, but somebody asked, what's the view count? In your Rumble page, you're looking at 597. And in my page, I'm sitting at 700.
Yeah. And we've got Entropy.
That's a good audience tonight.
Entropy's got another 64. There's a couple other channels where Twitter, I don't know if we get a real count.
I'm not sure. But there you go, guys. You should be sharing this stuff out. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to get a light because I'm losing all light. It's getting dark. Too dark to see.
No problem. About the birth certificates, why don't you start a corporation in their name instead? And then they can start doing commerce that way. Because a corporation can end up getting credit and working towards, good standing, working without being part of the system. It's a different life. You'd have to figure out how to do commerce without getting a job with somebody. You used to be able to get a job under just being a contractor with them and being paid as a sole proprietorship, and your taxes were your own business at the end of the year. And this was stuff that my dad was actually getting me into, but it just wasn't smart enough to figure it out at the time. Like when I came into the workforce, I wasn't really working. I had a job for Wendy's and Walmart, and then I went to work in the gas business, and I started a sole proprietorship, or at least that's what I worked under. And I did my taxes at the end of the year. And it was a more common practice back then. And it's just easier for people to, it's just easier for people to go work for a company and have all their taxes and get their earnings on a T-slip that's already done for them by the company's accountant.
Ta-da!
All
now
good?
You can see my ugly mug.
Much better. Yeah, I was just saying how when I first got into the workforce, I didn't realize it, but I was doing I was working as a sole proprietorship and being paid that way. And I had to do my taxes at the end of the year. And when I made over 30 grand, you had to get a GST number back then.
Yeah.
And a contractor's license. And there was a whole bunch of different things. And I was actually doing it the right way.
Yeah. Following the letter of the law and being a good contributor to society and a stand-up citizen, pillar of the community. Yeah. Something else is here's a little tip, something that they're doing to me right now. They're going back and auditing me now back to 2022. So they're auditing me right now for no reason, for no apparent reason. And it's not the CRA that's auditing me because I'm a WCB recipient. WCB is auditing me because I get a pension for my missing leg. And WCB is now being forced to audit me back 4 years, which is 2022, which is when all this shit started. And they're trying to see.
Yeah.
It's funny that I'm being audited for losing my leg.
Well, that's what FinTrack is about too, right? Jeremy's, had the same sort of thing come at him as well. I'm sure I will as well.
They're trying to basically go after us any way possible to make it so that we have the most severe lifestyle in Canada that makes us basically, well, the end game they want us to do, but it'll never do because we're fucking alphas and we don't go out that way. I'm taking a bunch with me if I am.
It's crazy to think what's going to happen. Canada could be carved up. One thing I wanted to get in with you is the Calistania. I just got one before I do that. I had one more super chat from Zaniel saying, "Is this the same ideas that your previous guest Curtis Stone is all about?" Yeah, same concepts.
Okay,
Curtis Stone can articulate it a lot better than any of us, but he says it only helps certain people. Like if you're getting pensions from other places, that's not the type of work he's doing. You need to qualify. Like you have to own property, a company. There's different qualifications for and how this can help people. There's a bunch of shit you have to do to help yourself first before this stuff can actually help you.
And that's what I say in my thing is firm believer that nobody, if you're not willing to help yourself, then you're not going to get yourself out of any situation. You need to help yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. And for those that won't help themselves, you're hopeless.
That's it. So, I wanted to ask you about the Calistani stuff.
Okay.
Happening. Because I've noticed a giant demographic shift. We all have.
Yeah.
We know that there's a bunch of trucking companies faking papers, forging licenses, moving drugs, all that stuff.
Yep.
I'm
100%.
Now, I heard you saying on another live stream that you had a different perspective. You say they just want to come here and go back. Establish Calistan back then. No, am I wrong?
I know my buddy's in here. I've seen him commenting here earlier. Calvir Gruwal. He is a sick man from Brampton. He donated $25,000 to get me out of jail. The Crown is still holding on to that $25,000 and is not releasing it to give it back to him. Yep. And so I was invited down to meet with them and go to their temple. I was an honorary guest to understand and hear what's going on and what they are all about. I've always understand that Calistan is they're trying to get a Calistan movement in Canada and they want Calistan here in Canada and they want to make Calistan their own nation within Canada. That's absolutely wrong. The Calistans and the Sikh religion are not the same as the Indians and the foreign students that have been coming here. They are not the same. They are polar opposites. What you have now is the Calistani movement from back in the 70s and 60s that was chased out of India and was given it open to come to Canada. Then the Air India bombing started, got blamed on the Calistanis. Okay. Calvir, is he here? Is Calvir still in here? Because Calvir would be a lot one. And this is something I'm not a spokesperson for them, but I do know what I know from hearing it right from their guru, right from one of their men that have been over in India and got chased out. There he is. Calvir, would you mind coming in if I sent you the link? I don't know how Calvir feels about getting up on this, but from Calvir can confirm or correct me if you don't feel like coming in, my brother. They have told me and welcomed me into their community. And I've been sitting here waiting for this opportunity to give them that voice that they so need. Yes, they have a lot of followers. Yes, they have a lot
I'm
of
actually
momentum.
I'm against quite a bit of it, actually. I don't feel like you should be welcomed into their community. They should be glad we welcomed them into ours, right? Like, because right now people are getting a bad taste in their mouth from Sikhs all across Canada with the trucking industry,
Not
the crime,
Sikhs though.
and like
Not Sikhs.
a lot of
Not
them are
all of
wearing
them are
turbans
Sikh.
and their name is Singh.
Well, if that's the case, then yes, they would be practicing under the Sikh religion. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
Calvier has told me, and he just said, I just don't want your podcast to get hijacked by this because it's a non-Canadian issue. Guys, what Khalistan is they were always given land in India as where they should, that's their home. And if you don't want them here, then help them push for their referendum for Khalistan in India, and they would gladly fucking go home. In a heartbeat, they want to go home.
why can't they go home now? Like,
because if they go over to India, they're killed. They're slaughtered.
When I see them having a referendum, I only see Sikhs voting. Who else is voting?
Because it's the Sikh religion that is asking for the referendum. It's the Sikh follower. It's the Sikh religion that wants the referendum. And actually, Calvier's family and all of them are quite very loud advocates for that. And I got told while I was there, they brought me out, had a great time, met them all, had learned a lot, was welcomed into the community. And I see some derogatories in there. Just please understand, it's open to everyone who is native to Punjab. Understand that if you don't,
you're going to see a lot of that right now. You're going to see a lot of that right now. People are going to be pissed.
And I get that, but you can't fight against something you don't know. You must do your research. Yes, we are being bombarded. I'm not going to deny that. They're being brought over here.
Yeah.
But the Sikhs are a whole different ballgame. And they actually go after Jagmeet Singh. They can't stand him. They chase him.
I've just gotten into it now that like Sikh to me is not Canadian. They're something else. They're not. I want them to be proud of the religion at home. That's my biggest thing right now.
But they were
too much.
They were forced here and given asylum here by our Canadian government, actually by Papa Trudeau.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's what it was. And they want nothing but to go home. And I understand it. And I've seen them.
If their entire thing is about going home, I want to help it.
There you go.
But now they're changing laws in our country where they can carry their daggers in our courtrooms and not wear helmets. But
even the daggers in the courtrooms, those are Calvier told me those are he says right here, that's because there is a genocide happening to Sikhs and Canada was a safe place. Okay, so they were slaughtering.
That's why they're allowed to wear their knives here.
That knife, that isn't even the true knife. The true knife is this fucking big, bro. That's an insult.
I don't really care what size the knife is that they're allowed to carry in the courtroom. I just want the same rights to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Hang on, baby. Shouldn't be two rights for two different people.
Okay, so I don't want to speak on behalf of this, but I think this is a great opportunity for us, Derek, to actually hear the truth. So I'm gonna, if you're okay, I would like to invite Calvier in here, and he can tell about it. An argument. Well, he's a great guy, businessman, real estate. He's really big on this, and I really think you'd get a good eye-opening perception of this.
Is he going to care that I
don't want to invade. I don't want to cause any animosity. I don't want to. But I think the only way
I got to put it out there to you is he okay with the idea that I don't want him being here? Like I'm against Sikhs in Canada.
But if you can have the opportunity to have a conversation about it,
I can.
Are we open to dialogue?
Oh, absolutely. I just mean that's my stance. Like if he wants to go home, I want to help him.
Okay, and he does. They do.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Fuck it. Bring him on.
Okay, buddy. Thanks. Thank you for being open to that.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. It's coming to you.
Hey, rolling up. Yeah, you got to
Hey,
ignore a lot
brother,
of the
you got
chat.
the link there, Calvier.
You're gonna have to ignore the chat. There's gonna be a lot of fucking swear words flung around.
Okay, but all I'd like to ask is let's have some respect, some decorum, and let's hear about it. What's that, Derek?
Oh, I said you'll get it from me. Like I'm cordial.
Okay,
perfect. I'm just saying you watch the chat.
Perfect.
It'll be fucking wild.
I know, and I'm well aware of it. But we can't be naive. We can't go into something without understanding it, right? That's where I'm going at this. And I was the same way. I didn't understand it either. But these men of the Sikh religion are actually they're true warriors that protected monarchies. And when the monarchies were dissolved and the British rule came in and overtook them, the Queen actually took the Sikh leader's son and called her his own, and desecrated who the Sikh men were. And you're actually at birth, you are born, and then you were basically adopted to be a Sikh, which was a lion, which is one of the fiercest warriors. And you guarded monarchies.
Yeah, they could still do that at home.
They can, and they want to.
I know the history of Sikhs in Canada, right? Like, there's also them killing Anthony Hopkinson, the border guard, back in 1908 when the Komagata Maru, I forget the name of it, Kobayata Maru that came in, and it was the Communist Party that actually fought on the lawyer side for them to stay here. There's a lot of here.
I don't owe them, Steve Robitaille. I don't own them. I don't owe them $25,000. They came ahead and donated to help because I needed a cash bail out, and they performed a service for us called Lufsa. And it's their way of feeding the warriors. There he is.
What's up, man?
What's
up, brother? How are you?
What's up, Derek? How you doing?
Good. I'm just gonna warn you about the chat here. It might be pretty cutthroat.
We're not paying attention to the chat because there is some.
Yeah, my chat's off anyways, and nor do I mind. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Pat says you got some information.
So, Calvert,
education.
Sorry, say that again. You cut off there.
I say Pat was saying that you have some education for us.
Yeah, I mean, let me just start off with saying that I'm born and raised here in Canada as well. Do I normally wear a turban? I just got a toque on right now. It's a little nighttime. I just finished walking my dog. Okay, but
hey, that's cultural appropriation.
Okay. Yeah, the toque. Little Canadian girl toque there. Okay, so and I'm going to be completely genuine with you guys, right? Like, I'm always a little hesitant with talking about this stuff with Pat because I don't want this to be hijacked for what Pat's been doing for Canada. Our first love is Canada. Like I said, I am born and raised here, right? But I do support the Khalistan movement. And there's no doubt about that, even being born and raised here. So what the Khalistan movement's really about is just about getting a referendum, a peaceful referendum in what's called the largest democracy in the world, India. Yet they won't allow it. They won't allow a peaceful referendum. So why you're seeing a lot of Khalistan flags these days around here is because it's sanctioned by the United Nations, but we're doing referendums right now outside of Canada. And this is putting a little pressure on them, on India, and hopefully they will allow a referendum to happen in Punjab, which they refuse right now. That's it. So apart from anything else, when it comes down to mass immigration, man, we're against it as well. But at the same token, you guys got to understand, my people, there's a systemic genocide happening. It used to be just straight out killing. Now it's a cultural genocide. There is a drug problem there. They're trying to destroy our culture, our religion. The men that used to come from Punjab in the 70s, the 80s, they were strong men. They all contributed to Canada. We have some of the lowest crime rates out of any minority in Canada. So we were a very net positive. This new generation of people coming from Punjab, these guys are decimated. The culture is being ruined. We're not even recognized as a religion there. And that doesn't even get into the whole drug part about that as well too. So there's a reason why a lot of Sikhs left Punjab and are still continuing to leave Punjab. The parents there are seeing what's going on. I think the drug rate there is like 76% of kids are addicted. So we're getting
you come to Canada to avoid drugs. That's
yeah. I mean that's a fair point, right? But you gotta remember on the world stage, Canada is viewed a lot different, right? So believe it or not, a lot of Sikhs that do come here now, they're like, we were sold a fake dream, and they were. Canada's not the same as it was, and we can blame that on a lot of things, and mass immigration is one of them. And I definitely believe that. So like we want that to pause as well. We want that as well, not to happen as much, because we got to care about Canada first.
So where to you would be the line if we were to start deportations?
Well, I mean, I think it should be right now, international students that, well, basically all international students for now, at least anybody that's the age between 15 to 23, like Jordan Peterson once said, that's when men are the most violent. And that's what we're bringing in. So you're going to have a bunch of kids that are coming here who want to drink, and they're getting caught up in these fake universities that are also government funded. It's a complete scam from the liberals just to keep them propped up. We realize all this, right? This has contributed to the house pricing. So we see this inflation that's happening due to this mass immigration. We can't rule that out. We see all these issues. So there's a line to be drawn. Exactly where, I'm not sure, man. But overall, this could have been millions of people from Ukraine. I don't care. Wherever, pick a country. It could have been Europe. Okay, even for that. If this was causing this many problems in Canada, I would have an issue with it.
And sure. Something I want to bring up, ladies and gentlemen, for those that are chiming off in the chats, these men stood on the front lines in the convoy. They stood there and got pepper sprayed. They got beaten. They got their turbans ripped off their heads from the law enforcement. These men stood toe-to-toe with us to stand with us against our government of what we were doing. There's a big disconnect that we are not understanding, and I think it's only fair that we hear it out and understand it before you pass judgment. I understand everybody's got everybody's got a taste in their mouth for a certain demographic of these people, when a lot of them aren't that. It's the same way I'm being called a white supremacist. I'm not a white supremacist. I just love my country, and I want freedom, right? This is the same thing. We're projecting what's being brought to us and put on us. Now, I understand everybody's animosity. I get it. But hear it from them before you pass judgment. And I'm grateful, Calvier, that you took the opportunity to come up. I didn't want to say anything wrong. You're a brother, you're a good man, and I know where your heart lies.
Yeah, and I like Derek's energy. If he wants to, bring that game,
no,
I'd love to talk about it like that.
Yeah, you can still talk about it if you want. Yeah,
Derek, here's one more thing I want to say. Listen, we were one of the few, like when there was only a few hundred people left at Ottawa. We stayed back. We did get arrested. Okay, during Pat King's trial, I stood beside this guy, and the media didn't put us on. Why didn't they put us on? It's the same reasons why you're upset. They just didn't want to show that Sikhs were supporting. They wanted to
if we had the numbers, if we had the same numbers showing up to the convoy as what there was to the farmers' protest, that would have been serious numbers. Otherwise, there was just like 6 or 7 of Sikhs there. Like there wasn't a whole lot compared to the amount of trucking industry that they actually owned.
Yeah. So Derek, to that point, it would have happened. If it went on just a week or two longer, we had rallies set up already here. We were speaking at big events with thousands of people. It was coming. It just so happened that the Emergencies Act was ordered. So,
and I believe that Emergency Act was ordered because they knew through the channels, knowing what was happening, they were showing in their temples, on their TVs, of support for us.
Yeah.
And I spoke to their guru.
I believe that, but I mean, I think what most of my audience is concerned about is because there's been a giant talk about the immigration and the amount of right now, and we're seeing that there's two distinct different cultures. You know,
Yes.
that there's been so much immigration. When you look at a place like Brampton, that doesn't look like Canada that I grew up in. That's a Sikh colony.
Listen,
and it's
I
moving
agree
outward
with
from
you,
there.
Derek, I agree with you. But how's that the Sikh's fault?
It doesn't have to be that their fault at all. You know what I mean? It's how I look at it. I've been displaced from my hometown.
How?
I used to live in Brampton.
But how were you
now
displaced?
Well, I've been outnumbered. I don't see anybody there that looks like me anymore. I was born in the hospital there. Now, if I were to go back there, nobody looks like me.
What high school did you go to, Derek? Just
Georgetown.
Georgetown. Okay, so not really Brampton.
No, I was born in Brampton, like I say, and then I moved to the outskirts in Terracotta, and I went to school in Georgetown. And I watched this all happen through my life, and it's the truth, whether it happened legally or not, or illegally, whatever happened. It's a Sikh colony. That's not like Canada to me.
I mean, I just don't like the term colony. I understand there's a high density of population there. And listen, what I'm trying to tell you is that we're on the same wavelength in terms of immigration. Canada needs to stop it, not just because, I don't know what your reasons are. Mine really is that I'm a Canadian born citizen as well, too. And I see it's affecting how I live. Stuff is getting more, house prices are getting more expensive. Schools are crowded. There's people that I don't feel that have been, how can I say, like, nobody to guide them to fit into this culture right now, what made Canada beautiful. So I'm on the same wavelength. I just don't feel that Sikhs should be blamed for that, though. It's not these, they're
It's
living
just a
something
byproduct of what's happening, right? Because I mean, I think it's because they're the ones that are most that we can see, and in big numbers. So like, because if it was a bunch of people from the Congo that came, and I don't know how to make I'm not trying to make a direct comparison with your people to Congolese people. I'm just saying, if it was a giant colony of them, you would notice, right? The buildings would be different. You wouldn't see signs with French and English on the signs. Like it's walking into a different country.
I mean, I'm in agreement with you. What I'm just not, what I'm just trying to say is that I just don't see how we can just single out Sikhs. Like,
No, I'm not. I
still,
don't mean to
right?
single out Sikhs on my own, like on their own. You could say there's a Chinese colony in BC as well.
Yeah.
Right. There's a high
I get
contingency
it.
there.
Yeah.
And I guess for most white people, it's a question of demographics, right?
Well, look. Now, this is where I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent, and I don't want to, but I mean,
No, go for it, man. You're safe
white
here.
people aren't breeding, okay, either. Like, you guys got to take some responsibility as well. Okay, have some kids of your own. Okay, make tighter communities. I get it. Like, but what do you want me to? This is stuff that's just completely out of our control. And like I said, we're still Canada first, and that's the most important thing. If you want to see more white people, great, I do too. But I mean, I don't care overall in terms of that. I want to see patriotic Canadians. I want to see people that are going to put Canada first. If you brought up the argument and said, Calvert, you know what I feel? Like, you Canadian-born Sikh guys only care about Khalistan, then, like, I'd be like, okay, let's talk about that, right? But that's not the case.
Do you care more about Khalistan? Like, would you like to move back to a Khalistan?
No, so I am proud Canadian-born patriot. I'm willing to put my balls on the line for this country. That doesn't matter, okay? As far as Khalistan goes, all I want to see is a referendum happen in Punjab, a peaceful referendum. I want the native people of Punjab to make a decision. Do they really want a separate country or not? Because Indian government says, no, they don't really want it. They just want to be slaves to our system. They don't care to be recognized for their own religion. We're going to genocide their language, their culture, all that. So that's all we're asking for.
I don't want to see it happen here either.
What are you talking? Yeah, you don't want to see what happened here.
Well, like when I go back to my hometown in Brampton, I'd like to see English signs and shit.
Oh, I agree. I have a problem with that too.
Yeah. Oh, good. Like, I do like to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, we do. Buddy, what do you think? I'm happy when I go to a Tim Hortons and they're, and that I can't understand what they're saying, bro. You think I can understand a thick Punjabi accent or an Indian accent? I can't understand it either.
Dude, I bet you can a lot better than I can.
Yeah, but even then, like again, it's not even about the accents or anything like that. Listen, we want to keep Canada, what made Canada beautiful, and it was Canada's culture originally of politeness, of acceptance. But I get it, people are a little bit fed up right now. I just
Well, I
say that
mean, the truth is the culture was white people up until the 60s, 70s. It really was. That's what built
not
Canada.
always. We had African American people here as well, like that were brought in
Sure,
from
but if you
the
were
Underground
okay,
Railroads
so
back during Confederation.
all right, so we were 98% white.
Fair, but I'm just saying we can't just.
Yeah,
no, there's
And
always
somebody's
minorities.
saying in
I
the
get
chat
that.
that I'm taking this as a win. Anytime we can bridge a culture gap, that is a win. So yeah, I'm taking this as a win that we gotten these guys at the table so that they can actually understand it. And anybody wants to hate me about this, you're more than welcome to. But if I don't care what color your skin is, if you're a fucking asshole, you're an asshole.
Oh,
It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
These guys stood on the front lines, took fucking hits, got rubber bulleted, got tasered, or got beaten by batons, got fucking dragged through the mud with every one of those. And any man who's willing to stand beside me and take a fucking hit for my country, I'm going to call him a friend.
we got
Sure,
charged
it's
as well too, man.
It's not about hating anybody. It's about loving my people, right? And there has been a difference. I think, like, we can have conversations about anything. We don't have to go into demographics. It's just that's a big part of what my viewers are watching on the channel. They're noticing the demographics change in the country, right? So naturally, they're going to lash out at what looks like the most predominant one.
And I'll tell you a little background. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I just want to say that's just like such a simple-minded. If that's what your viewers are, man, I feel sorry for them because they're falling so easily into the liberal trap of divide and conquer. See, this is what you guys don't understand. And I'm talking about you, like the white guys who just stay racist for no reason. Okay, where they're like, we just feel like we're getting outnumbered, so we're going to start hating sex. This is what you guys don't understand. These guys, this government, this hardcore liberal government, that's exactly what they want. So then they can go to brown people or black
I'm
people.
not worried about
hold on, Derek.
what they want. Sure, yeah,
Okay?
go for it.
So
Yeah,
they
sorry
can
to
say
interrupt you.
they can say to them, see, these guys hate you. These guys are all conservative, racists. Join us. And you guys are falling right into that trap of divide and conquer, and you guys don't even see it.
No, we're not worried about their trap. We just don't want them here.
That's cool.
No, it's not
fine.
simple-minded, because if you think
it's
like
completely
if I start seeing people, I've given you a chance to speak. If I start seeing people running down my streets that I grew up on that are different colors, speak a different language, wear different clothes, and I can't understand them, and they're all carrying weapons, and I'm supposed to be okay with that? I'm just supposed to allow that. I'm falling into a trap by allowing this, am I?
No, so you're mad that we carry a dagger? A sword? Is that
No,
what
I'm mad that there's foreigners here that I don't recognize walking down my street like an army.
That's so sad, man. That's cool.
What do you mean it's sad?
Then stay afraid, stay sad, man. What do you want me to tell you, buddy? Like, again, see, if that's why I'm saying I don't like the way your guys' view is on this, because you
of course
guys are
not, because it's for my people.
No, it's not. See, you brought up something like, hey, these guys have daggers and we can't carry anything, right? That's what you said originally. That's why I was like, you know what? Put me on. Do you remember you said that?
Well, why can't I carry the same thing?
Exactly. So let's argue about that.
Ask here,
you should have the right to arm yourself. You should have the right to defend yourself. You should have the right to protect others. You should not have to worry about having just the police defend you. So why don't you ask, hey, say, Calvier, you know what? Can you get your sick people to also start a movement so all people can defend themselves? And we would be all for it. Of course,
and not only that, we do have the ability.
That sounds ridiculous. Why didn't you do that in the first? Wait. Why didn't you do that in the first place? If this was if you're all Canadian and it's for Canadians, you just did it for yourselves because you're self-interested for your people. You don't give a fuck about us, and you see yourself as separate. Do you guys mind if I bring in Jeremy? I gotta ask first before.
Yeah, well, I do.
I don't want this to become a bashing session. All I was trying to do was bridge a gap of something that I understood, and I get it. Jeremy's welcome 100%. I respect Jeremy. I respect everything you guys have done. But if anything, I was merely hoping to kind of give you a little bit of understanding that I was able to get from being accepted and learning.
Calvier, I kind of want to have this conversation. If you want to do it again sometime, we can do it live, like on another night. But we are kind of going past what me and Pat were
Yeah,
talking about.
absolutely.
Or
And
we
like I
can
said,
keep
that's
going.
something I don't want to do. I don't want to hijack it, man. But just understand that guys like me, there's so many of us, and Pat got a chance to meet us where we're on the same tip, man. We understand your guys' concerns. We want you guys to be strong. We want you guys to be patriotic, and we don't want to be one of the reasons why you guys lose love for Canada. That's sad to us. So we're gonna stand side by side with you guys for
It's
common
sad.
cause.
It's sadder to us to see it happen.
Okay.
It
Powerful.
is.
I don't know what you want to say to that, to Derek, but if you ever want to have me on, sure, shoot me off a message and I'll come on.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Cal.
All right. Thanks, Bot. Okay. Bye.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
I did that
And that's
on purpose because I was going to bring Jeremy is backstage, so I'm going to bring him on. But I didn't want to ambush Calvier with Jeremy because, I wanted to do you that respect at least.
and wait, before Jeremy goes off on that, I just want to let you know, I went against it as an occupational health and safety officer. I went dead against the turban being used as a hard hat in our industry. I fought against that because I didn't think that it was appropriate. Not only that, the helmet laws on our motorcycles, that's actually what got me started being a Harley rider, and they can wear no helmet, but I have to wear a helmet. And if I took my helmet off, we argued that. They manipulated our laws. I'm not going to lie. That Charter of Rights and Freedom says no race, religion, creed will be tried differently under the law. Then they were able to sway it. So that under their religion, you're fucking right, they did. And I agree with that. But I do agree that some of it has got taken way out of fucking context, and some were a little bit more powerful to swing it. And I will agree to that. So,
yeah, it's like nothing against Buddy, but it's just like I have a different view, and I'm going to stand by the way I view things, right? I'm trying not to be rude to the guy, but it's like they view themselves as separate from us. They don't view us the same. And that has to be like we believe that we're Canadian, but they're also Sikh Canadian.
I agree.
That comes before being Canadian.
Nope.
Hey, Jared. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry I didn't let you in on that, but I gave my word I wasn't gonna.
Well, he's an Indian, right? They're chicken shit. They don't they're non-confrontational. They only fight if there's 20-1 odds, just like jail.
I want to continue that conversation with him because
I don't.
It's true.
No one does. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, I think they would.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was maybe bring up some. All I wanted to do was just bring up a different idea, or at least hear it from Calvier's voice and hear it from them. This man stands for Canada. I've seen it. I've watched it. I've heard it. I've spoke with his family. I've met with his friends.
Yeah, but we have different interpretations of what Canada is, right? Like if he's saying Canada's all accepted, yeah, it's a whole rabbit hole we could go down. This live stream wasn't supposed to be about any of that, but yeah,
yeah, it's all good. I respect everything you guys, are for Canada. I respect your patriotism. I respect everybody's who's in the fight for the right reasons. We're all standing up against this bullshit. We're not alone. If it was the whites that were going to stand up and do this, we're fucking severely outnumbered. I'm just going to say that and throw that out there.
I know that.
I'm not saying we couldn't do it, but we are severely outnumbered.
I know we are, but it's what is Canadian to somebody, right? Is it that corporate logo that we were talking about originally?
Yeah. True.
Right.
And I agree with you on that. It is.
Or do you stand with your race? And if you do stand with your race, should you not have your own homeland?
All right.
Right.
Well, I let Jeremy come up. I'm sure he's going to be colorful, and he's probably mad as fuck at me right now. But my biggest thing is to try and bring everybody together across the line. And I think, to me, if you're willing to get bloody with me on the line, then I fucking love you. I don't care what color skin you are, man. I don't. As long as I know you're fucking holding my back, I'm holding yours.
Can you hear us, Jer?
Yeah.
No?
I don't know.
I can see a faint face, but I can't hear anything. Is that Palminder?
No. Is Palminder in here?
No.
Well, I'll let you guys go and do your thing. I'm gonna tap out. It's 2 hours we've been in here.
Yeah, we've been going for a while, and
yeah,
I'm willing to have that conversation moving forward because
I appreciate that you gave him the respect, and I really do. You handled it very well, and I know where you guys stand on this stuff. So
cucks like it when people cuck for them. It makes them feel better.
No, nobody's cucking here, Derek.
Oh yeah?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just giving you a difference of opinion. Was all I was trying to bring up. That's all.
Yeah, it's the wrong one.
Fair enough, and you're welcome to that, Derek. And I stand with you, and I appreciate everything you guys have done.
My name's not Derek.
That's Jeremy talking there.
Or sorry, Jeremy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get it, guys, and I know where you're coming from, and you guys have fucking seen it. You're watching it. We're all watching it. We all watched it. We all know what's going on.
Yeah.
But we can't categorize all of them the same way that they categorize all of us. Right? We've got to be the better. We've got to be better than that.
Well, we have to talk about it regardless. Like they're here. It has to be fucking discussed because something has to change in Canada.
How many can you fit on a bus out of the country? That's the kind of discussion you need to be having.
Like we're outnumbered. Right. And when I was saying about them having full numbers with fucking swords walking down the street. All right, dude, we'll cut it off with you.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Go steal some more money, Pat.
You angry?
Yeah. Yeah, that was gross.
What was gross?
That was Clownsville. Both of them. The guy doesn't know his ass from his face. Doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I think we'll cut her off because we're still going on his channel as well. But I'll talk to you backstage then.
No, I had to come out here in the truck because my kids are inside sleeping. I should probably go deal with that. This is, no, they're both beneath me. It's not really worth my time, but I don't know. Anybody following those fucking guys, stay far away from me. Stay far away.
All right, well, I'm going to end the stream then. All right, he just takes off. Cheers.